Hi, everyone. This is Mike Marr with Keller Williams Arizona Realty, and it is my pleasure to be joined by Mike Roberts today. Mike is someone who co-founded the company UME Projects. And I tell you, last year, Mike, was a tough year for my buyers. I had multiple buyers that just had to drop out simply because of the rate. They couldn't get into a home because rates just went up too high. And really, that's what interested me in your company. So, without further ado, I'll introduce Mike. And Mike, you can tell us why you started your company, first of all, and what you're all about.
Sure. No, absolutely. My wife and I, business partners. I don't know if I suggest that 24/7 together, of course, but we've been in the industry for like 20 something years now here in the Valley. And we noticed that there was definitely a need in the market for exactly, I think, what you were talking about, where you had what we call level up buyers or the bring back buyers. And those are a lot of people that just simply got priced out of the market and they just weren't able to buy a house because prices went up, rates went up. What that means is payments went up. So they just became not affordable for them.
Right.
So we saw an opportunity. We're like, how do you solve for that? We love finding a problem and solving for it. And one of the things actually that Rachel, my wife, said, she's like, what's going to be a big thing that's definitely going to help with that is assumptions. Assumptions are going to be a big thing again. And they haven't been a big thing. Most people haven't really heard about it because it hasn't been a thing since late 70s, early 80s, when interest rates spiked, the last time from your 8% to like 18%.
Right.
So people haven't really heard about it because rates have been going down for about 40 years. And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Good. And the premise behind doing an assumption, where an assumption, let's define what an assumption is first. And I always do that by saying what it's not. And what an assumption is not is like that TikTok investor that just saw on TikTok that he can creatively finance a house with no money down type of thing. And he goes in and he says, oh, I want to assume your loan. And what he's actually doing is just taking over payments, and he goes on title and the seller's still on the hook for the loan. And those are called wraps and contracts for deeds and subject to transactions. And that's not at all what we deal with. So what we deal with on an assumption perspective is the real deal, legitimate government mandated by law assumptions on government loans. And that's USDA, VA, and FHA. So over the past couple of years, a lot of people have purchased houses in 2.5%, 3%, 3.5% range using VA or FHA. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Never get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never get rid of it. Well, that's also that's what stunted sellers also. Right. Because you have a person that's in a home, they just had a new baby or something, and they need to move up to where they want to get an extra bedroom. But the problem is if they lose that interest rate that they had, of say 2.5%, and meaning they lose that payment. And even if they try and find a bigger house, which is usually more expensive, and at today's rates, 7.5%, 8% now, they're just way priced out. Their payment doubles in a case like that. And then they just can't do it. So they just stay in their home.
Right.
So go ahead.
Mike, I was just going to say, you just hit the nail on the head. A lot of the sellers that I've spoken to, I think even since beginning of 2023, when rates really started to spike, they said they want to move. In fact, some people won't move because they are just tied into that interest rate. So could you explain just a little bit further how this helps sellers who want to make that move?
So the way that helps a seller is a couple of different ways. So from a purely seller perspective is if they're able to offer a buyer coming to their house to assume their loan, they're going to be able to offer a lower interest rate, which means a lower payment, which means there's value to that to a buyer. And what that usually translates to is either one of two things. Either A, they sell their house a lot faster and they get off the market, or they sell it for a higher price, or both. So they sell it fast and they sell it for a higher price because an educated buyer understands that there's value to that.
Absolutely. As an agent, one of the things that I really stress to my sellers who have that have an assumable loan is, what? That inherent value that you're talking about, that allows you to price your home at full market price. Because buyers coming in, they know they're going to be saving money with it. So in most cases, there's really no reason for them to discount off, the market price for their home in order to get people in the door.
Exactly. That's super common. So, and I say it's super common because we have almost a Rolodex of agents and buyers and everything that are out there looking for these opportunities, which I'll go into a little bit more of kind of how our company, the genesis of our company, where we thought the market is and kind of with experience, but it just gives a seller that opportunity to sell for a little bit more. A buyer comes in, and if the buyer's educated, and let's say, for example, the listing agent or seller isn't, they may have their market priced at whatever that is, so call it 500,000. And the buyer says, wow, but that's a 2.5% interest rate on that. Let's just real quick, let's just go in there full price, no concessions, make it fast and easy. And then the listing agent's like, wow, we got full price and no concessions. Let's take it. Right. But if you had that listing agent and you had that seller that was a little bit more educated, they might say, not price it at 500. They might price it at 510, 20, whatever that is, and get a little bit extra because they do say market it with the assumability of that loan and realize that there's value there. So it's all about the education portion.
Right. And it really is truly a win-win. It gives leverage to the seller. They don't have to discount their market price. Mike, talk about how it helps the buyers. This seems like a great deal for buyers.
I'd basically, for buyers, it just gets them interest rates from years past. So you assume a loan is 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%. And I've seen some go up as even 4.5%. And when rates
are those days are gone.
Yeah, but you're still able to get that. And so one of my favorite stories about that is I have a client, her name's Maria. She bought like a small condo back in the day, about 9 years ago. She did awesome. She paid it off. And she was a little less than a year ago, was ready to go out and buy another house. And she's like, came back and said, hey, I'd like to get pre-qualified. I want to see how much I can go purchase again. So we got her pre-qualified on the lending side and basically said, you know what, you can go out and buy about a $300,000 house. And so she starts looking for 300,000. She's like, there is nothing out there. She's like, I'm stuck in my condo. So a little bit of time goes by, and UME, we got more expertise, more educated. We got pretty much our entire, the company and the process put together. So I talked to her agent. I said, Nick, go out there and show Maria this house. And I told Maria, this house has an assumable loan. Go out and take a look at it. So it took a little bit longer to process. So it takes about 60 days on average. But 60 days later, which is about 2 weeks ago, she just closed on a $470,000 home for the same exact payment as a $300,000 condo.
Fantastic.
It's crazy.
It's truly the program that's helping the market at the moment. So
exactly.
Wow, love that story, Mike. So everybody, that is just some information on assumable loans from Mike Roberts at UME Projects. By the way, I have went through Mike's certification class, so I am a certified agent for UME Projects. I'm a realtor, and I partner with Mike and his wife to bring people these loans and properties that have these assumable loans. I would love to work with you. So if you have any interest, like if you'd like to see the list of homes in the Phoenix metro area that have these assumable loans or have more questions, reach out to me and we'll partner with Mike and we'll get you into a home regardless of what that looks like. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. And Mike, thanks again for what you're doing. This really is helping people get into a home. So thank you again for your time.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here.
All right. Have a great afternoon.